Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. So today I've got a really, really interesting interview for you. But before I go introduce my guest, just going to mention that if you want to stay in touch with me, if you want to make sure that, I've already lost one YouTube channel and some of the things I talk about, they don't like. So if you want to stay in touch with me, please go to the link that will appear on the screen during this interview. It'll also be in the description and a pinned comment, which is a link tree, linktr.ee/Mark Attwood Show, capital M, capital A, capital S. That's where all my links are for everything that I do. Most importantly, my email list. Get on my email list and then you'll never lose any content. So with that said, I have the great pleasure of introducing Seb Francis to the show today. Hello, Seb.
Mark, hi. How you doing?
Very well. Looks like it's a nice day there behind you. It's whereabouts in England are you?
We're in South Wales, quite near Tintern Abbey, so on the River Wye, pretty much. And yeah, beautiful sunny day here.
God, I've not been to the River Wye since about 1980.
Oh, well, it's still flowing. It's actually interesting. One of the few rivers where people are actually permitted to use it freely in stretches. I don't know. A lot of the rivers in the UK are sort of privately owned, and actually people aren't allowed to sort of freely swim in them or canoe on them. And there's a good stretch of the Wye that is actually allowed. So it seems strange, really, that someone could own a bit of water flowing through our land, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, anything, because it's all free. It's all free. It's just the Enclosure Act of the 1600s and all of that kind of screwed it all up for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So Seb, I brought you on today because you have a background as an electrical engineer. And
that's right. Yeah, I mean, I've studied physics. And
you found
I've have a degree in electrical engineering. I've got quite a scientific background, but also experienced a lot of alternative things throughout my own sort of life journey as well. So yeah, I guess I have a foot in both camps of the sort of more alternative and more scientific fields.
That's perfect for this show because this is all about exploring these things, and you are effectively an expert in grounding and earthing, which is a subject very close to my heart because I first learned about this. It must be 12 years ago. I think I saw a documentary. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was like a Canadian guy who had chronic pain, and the documentary was about how he used to lie on the ground underneath his shack. And how he healed himself, and then he started spreading the word because he was healing. And I was chronically ill at the time. I was about 6 stone heavier than I am now. My wife at the time called me a heart attack waiting to happen. I was full of cortisol. I was running a business employing hundreds of people. I was extremely stressed. I was a mess, and I was desperate to find new ways of healing and grounding. So grounding came into my life, and I ran internet marketing seminars at the time, and I used to do some at my home, and people would come and stay, and I'd have them all out in the garden, barefoot on the grass, saying this is, one of the issues you've got is that you're not grounded enough, and I had grounding shoes, and at the time I was because I've been an entrepreneur all my life, I was actually thinking about creating some grounding bed sheets 12 years ago, but I didn't do it because life got in the way and 5 kids, and I moved country twice, and blah blah blah. So I know this is a bit of a ramble, but I'm just explaining this to the viewers. So when I started this channel, part of what I wanted to do was bring these concepts to more people because they're extremely important and powerful. And just to explain to anybody that's been following me since the beginning, I did find a company that was doing earthing bed sheets, and I was recommending them, and I bought their bed sheets, and I'm using one of their bed sheets, and it's fine. But the company itself was not completely. They weren't experts. They were just marketers. And I didn't realize that. They were so good at marketing, I didn't see through them. And then I got an email from a subscriber, and she said, you want to check out these guys because they really know what they're doing, and their products are amazing. So I contacted you, and now you're here to have a chat about grounding for everybody on the channel. So I really appreciate you coming on. I know this is not normal for you, and that I don't think you've done this sort of interview before, but so I want to thank you for that. And let's get into grounding. Let's talk about your journey, how you got into it, and the science behind it, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. Wonderful. Let's say, well, happy to be here, Mark. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, not normally an internet broadcaster, but I shall do my best to tell the story of kind of how we came to be here. I guess perhaps a little bit similarly to yourself. I used to work in quite a stressful environment. I've done many jobs in my life, but at the time I was working with computers and computer programming, and in sort of server room environments. We're just surrounded with racks and racks of computers giving off electromagnetic fields, and in a sort of stressful kind of deadline orientated environment. My wife, who's quite a complementary opposite to myself, she's a medical intuitive. She's a channeler. She's very sensitive to energies. She's an amazing person. But one of the things she really struggled with at the time was man-made EMFs. She couldn't be in the room with someone using a mobile phone. She couldn't use a computer. It was to the point where she had ended up at parts of her life living in a caravan in the woods, just to get away from all that kind of energies. We were sort of very interested when we came across the work of a man called Clinton Ober in the early noughties, who basically pioneered the kind of modern concept of earthing. And yeah, it looked very interesting. So being an electrical engineer or having an electrical engineer background, I put together some homemade devices for grounding the body. It's not rocket science, and we just found great benefits for ourselves, our general health. My wife's electrosensitivity, was substantially reduced, really to the point where over time, it was gradual, but now she actually kind of uses technology like a normal person. She'll it's quite amazing to see really the difference over the sort of last 20 years, and it happened I think quite rapidly to begin with. That was the beginning of it. We started obviously sharing these devices with our friends and also with people who came on my wife's, she ran holistic health courses and courses.
Sounds like I should get your wife on my show. She sounds brilliant.
I'm sure she'd be interested, Mark. Yeah, you definitely should. Yeah, well, I'll send you her link off air, and you can reach out if you feel to. Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant.
So she was running various events at the time when we started sharing the devices with people on the events, and it kind of went from there really. Fast forward to 2010, we'd really started as a proper business by then, selling all products of our own design. We then added Clint Ober's US made products to our range, so his are under the Earthing brand, now I think we stock probably one of the widest range of grounding solutions of anyone in the world, and we're the largest company in Europe specializing in this area. So this is where we are today from those beginnings. It's just something we really found worked for us, and it was a natural progression to just try and share it with as many people as possible.
Well, I've been massively impressed by the products and the company. Oh, I'm getting an echo now. That's annoying. I hate it when that happens on these things. It'll go away. And I bought a set of stuff from you the other week, and I got my son is 16, and he's had your grounding sheet, and I'm stood on one of your I'm stood on one of these. I'm stood on this. At the moment, and the funny thing is, when I started, because I'd kind of forgotten about grounding, the technology behind the stuff, and it took for the sheet to arrive. I stood on the grass pretty much every morning, even in the cold Irish winter. I'd go out and on the icy grass, but I was only really doing it for like 5-10 minutes a day. And since I've been sleeping on this sheet and standing on this thing, I can feel the difference is incredible, and my energy levels have shot up. I'm losing weight, and it feels like my energetic body has sort of shifted down. I'll just change angles so people can see my hands. It's like it feels like it's shifted down in my body, and I feel generally more relaxed. Is that normal kind of feedback for you?
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the common things which people say is that they just feel a greater sort of sense of peace, I suppose, is one of the things people often say, that they feel better. And interestingly, you say that, you're doing it already, but the increase in time spent grounded has made a difference, because, that is also something that we see, that really the longer that you can spend grounded per day, that the more the effect of it. I mean, obviously, from a point of view of just optimizing health, it's great. But people who are really chronically ill, they really need to be grounding as much as they can. And we've seen some amazing transformations over the years.
Well, I've mentioned on this show before that basically everything in the world has been weaponized against us, against our health, and one of those weapons is the plastic shoe, which all my kids have plastic trainers going to school now. When I was a kid, it was leather soles. There were even, I remember people in England in clogs in the 70s and wooden shoes. So people were used to be more grounded than they are now. And I actually think that's a deliberate thing, but we don't need to get into that. The amount of time that we used to spend grounded is totally different to what it is now. There's a huge reduction, which is why there's a demand for this thing. And the logic of sleeping grounded for 8 hours every night just was impossible for me to ignore, which is why I really wanted to talk to you guys. Can we get into the science of it for people that don't? Because I've mentioned grounding and earthing to people before, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" They literally don't know what I'm talking about. So let's go right back to basics of it, because what is the science behind it?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, Mark, the practice of grounding or earthing, it's just reconnecting the body electrically to the earth. And as you say, this is something which we've naturally had, throughout human evolution. Really, it's only over perhaps the last 100 years or so, since the advent of rubber or plastic soled shoes, that we've really lost this connection. When we used to be wearing leather footwear or just barefoot, we'd constantly have this electrical connection to the earth. And it doesn't help that our houses again nowadays are obviously insulated and sitting on kind of plastic damp-proof membranes. So we're basically, unless we make an effort not to be, we are constantly cut off from this electrical connection with the earth. So when we reconnect, whether we walk barefoot on the grass or on the beach, or whether we use grounding products, essentially it gives us access to the earth's reservoir of free electrons, which allows the cells in our body to become electrically balanced. I mean, there's many well-documented effects. There's been a lot of research over the last 20 years or so of the different physiological effects that has. I mean, one of the most dramatic demonstrations is probably what happens to the blood.
You've got some pictures.
I think there's a slide for that somewhere.
Should I pull it up?
Yeah, pop it up.
Is it that word we couldn't say before the show?
I shan't say it. These are images taken with a dark field microscope, which I can say. I'm not sure if the image is up on the screen.
So it's the I'm just waiting. I'm just trying to pull it up. So it's the viscosity, the one I'll pull it first. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I'll pull them both up and see if I can. Just give me a second, please. Please hold the line, caller. Okay, here we go. So that you should be able to see the viscosity one now.
So this is blood viscosity samples. So the three images on the left are samples taken from three different people, and they show actually a not untypical vision of what blood looks like in many people, and you can see all the blood cells that are clumped together, that they're sticky and coagulated, and this obviously has a huge knock-on effect to all of or many of the body's functions. And then on the 3 images on the right are the same 3 people, and this is after 40 minutes of grounding. So,
Whoa.
Relatively short time, and yeah, it's a dramatic effect. And this is an experiment that's been repeated many times. So and it's one of the most sort of immediately visual effects of what happens in the body when we get grounded.
That's amazing. That's only 40 minutes.
That's 40 minutes of grounding. Yeah. So I mean, some of the more obvious outer symptoms of take longer to shift, because essentially what you're doing is you're just enabling the body's natural mechanisms, and then the body does its thing. But internally the blood is almost instantaneously transformed when you start grounding the body.
That's incredible. And are there any? I know it's always going to be anecdotal, but do you get feedback from people saying that the grounding has solved certain problems? I mean, I understand that the body gets set to heal itself. It can be healed with pretty much anything. But I mean, because you must have dealt with hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people that have had effects of this over the years.
Yeah. I mean, I've got folders full of feedback and of people and how grounding has helped various medical issues. We hear some amazing stories, people with sort of arthritic pains that they've had for years that have cleared up within a week or two. Sadly, due to UK medical regulations, we're actually unable to publish any of these stories.
You're not allowed to tell them, right? You're not allowed to tell them.
Yeah, we did used to publish some information about the some medical results of grounding, and we were approached by the UK medical regulator and told in no uncertain terms that we weren't permitted to do this. So our website, we focus more on the general well-being, but actually if you're interested in researching it, there's a great website called the Earthing Institute. So that's the earthinginstitute.net, and they're not affiliated with any sellers of earthing products. So they are more free to publish stories, and there's a section on there with testimonials from people. I think it's actually listed by A to Z of conditions, so you can literally look up any number of conditions and find stories from people of how earthing has helped with these things.
That's amazing. I was actually on the phone to my mum this morning, and I was honestly saying, "Mum, I'm sending you an earthing sheet." What's that? I said, "You're going to get it in the post next week. You're going to plug it in. You're going to feel amazing." Because I've helped my mum get through cancer and with all sorts of things like CBD oil and juicing, and getting her off the cancer medicine was really, really difficult. And I want to, I'm only telling people this because I think we're in an awakening time where all of these natural things are, what you just said, Seb, was ridiculous, really, isn't it? That we live in a time where something as simple as talking about something that's our birthright, something that's completely natural, and you're not allowed to tell people what it does for you. You're not even allowed to share stories, people like me saying what it does. It's just nonsense, isn't it?
No, really. I mean, we see it in the food or medicinal food industry. I've friends who run companies who sell things like medicinal mushroom powders and lots of things that have been used traditionally for thousands of years to heal people and to maintain good health, and they're prohibited from listing any of the health benefits of the products they sell. They're just not allowed to do it. It's crazy. Yeah. So this is the website, Mark. So what I was talking about, and I think the particular page I was mentioned is under the, I think there's either testimonials, if you scroll back to the top, success stories, there we are, and then if you look at so there's feedback from some various doctors, and then this is the A to Z of testimonials by conditions, so you can there's a lot of stuff here.
Right, I've got a condition here. It is, I'm going to go and check this one, because this is me and my friend have both got hernias, and we won't go to the hospital during this nonsense because we don't want to be tested or anything. So I'm very interested in the hernia. I'm gonna have to read this later. It's quite a long one, but that's great. There's like everything is all that's amazing, and it's a movement, right? Because it had to become a movement because once you experience the benefits of something like this, you want to shout about it, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that it's grown very organically, really. I mean, us as a company, we don't advertise through any conventional means. People literally the whole thing is spread worldwide through word of mouth, just through people finding out that it works well for them. And there's quite a number of sort of doctors now, particularly in the US, who really advocate it. I mean, we've got doctors in the UK who come to us and buy products from us to give to their patients, out of their own money. I mean, the NHS won't fund it. It's really quite amazing how it's sort of spread organically, really, with obviously little backing from official sort of official medical industry that really aren't helping it.
Well, no, they won't, because they're people should go and research the Rockefeller Institute and understand why medicine is no good. Anybody watching this, if you want to have a look at Sebs products and stuff, then go to the link that's in here. It's the bit.ly/ there it is. It's on the screen coming up. http://bit.ly/grounding with Mark. Use the right letters. The link's also below the description. Now, Seb has kindly allowed me to become an affiliate for the company. So it's a way of supporting the show. If you want to click on that link and you want to buy anything, if you don't want to support the show, then just go to groundology.com. But the reason I'm mentioning this is because if I think people power is the way to get this thing out, and we live in a financial system, so monetary exchange is a good thing. If any of you watching this want to spread the word of Sebs products when you had a look at them, I think there's an affiliate application on your site. Just mention that you know me if you apply for that. You don't approve everybody, do you? But pretty much everybody watching this will be aligned with this stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If we feel people are doing it because they genuinely believe in it and they want to spread it, then we're happy to have people be affiliates. I guess we just try and steer away from people just trying to make a quick dollar from something they don't necessarily believe in. That's all.
Well, none of my subscribers are like that, but you'll find out if anybody applies. I want to pull up this image that I popped up a second ago while you were talking, which is the one about the sleep. This one, because this is really interesting. Inflammation, because inflammation is the biggest problem. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, not perhaps inflammation itself, because inflammation is obviously one of the healing mechanisms of the body, but rather chronic inflammation. So that's inflammation that doesn't go away. So that the body uses inflammation as a mechanism to heal itself. It's necessary and correct way of the body correcting problems. But chronic inflammation, when it doesn't go away, this is the major cause of, maybe most modern diseases. I mean, things like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, digestive disorders, chronic pain. They're all the result of chronic inflammation. And this is one of the very powerful things which earthing does, is it will reduce chronic inflammation. I believe that's why chronic pain is often reduced really effectively with earthing, because it gets rid of the inflammation that's behind it. This, just to explain this image a little bit, this is a medical infrared imaging of the body, which is basically showing the kind of hot and normal heat areas of the body. And if you look at the key underneath, you can see that the very hot areas representing where there's inflammation in the body. And then the image on the right is after 4 nights of sleeping grounded, and obviously the same person, and dramatic reduction in the inflammation. Really, everything pretty much back to normal levels.
And it's interesting. It looks like a medieval map of the Earth.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's quite a lot of these studies been done. There's some if you click on the link underneath and look at the scientific research page on our website and sort of search for the word inflammation amongst all the papers that are on there. There's quite a few images like this within some of the papers. Quite visually quite quite impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I am testament to this. I can feel. I'm looking at that diagram and I'm feeling it because I'm literally living it at the moment. And like I said, my eldest son, he actually, he doesn't rave about much, but he came in the kitchen last week and he was like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "What?" He says, "That's the best night's sleep I've ever had." And I was like, "That's amazing." And he's just full of beans. It's just amazing. You can see it. It's just so simple. That's what I love about it. So what products have you got? What kind of things, because you've got quite a lot of things there. And one of the things I really appreciated, by the way, I bought the plug because I was worried that the house wouldn't be earthed properly. But you sell that plug that just says, yeah, this is good. You can plug it into this. Because the old earthing sheets, you used to have to put a wire out the window and stick it into the ground. But these ones you can actually plug into a socket in the wall, but you have to check if the house is actually earthed.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we still sell both options, but in most countries, with modern electrical systems, the houses are earthed. The main system is earthed. And generally this is to a very large rod in the ground outside. So you've probably got like a 4 foot or 1.2 meter long rod in the ground outside your house, earthing your electrical system, and that's what the third pin on the electrical sockets is connected to. So I've got one here actually. We sell, this is a UK one. This is the special plug that we sell that plugs in. As you can see, it's got two plastic pins where the mains power is, because it doesn't connect to the power in any way, and then the metal pin at the top is what connects to the earth. And so you just plug your sheet or mat, or I'll go over the options in a minute, but you plug your earthing product into this. If you're in Australia, then we would send you a plug looks like that, similar thing. Within sort of mainland Europe, then it's generally that, although it's different ones for Italy and Switzerland and stuff. But really, whatever you need, we carry out every option needed. What Mark was referring to earlier was a grounding rod as well. This is another option. Bring that back a little bit. So that is a rod, basically goes in the ground outside, and then you run this wire into your house and plug into the end of that. So that's another option. People who are camping use that. That's a great way. And there are countries in the world where electrical sockets aren't properly earthed. So it's a good option. But yeah, generally most people will find it most convenient just to earth via the main system. And we sell a socket tester, which before you use your socket, just plug it in, switch the socket on, and it will just check that the earth is present and correct, and just give you some green lights or red lights depending on the tester you're using, and you know that you're good to go with that socket. So very very simple really, and the products that we sell, there's quite a variety. Just to really, the idea being that we provide things that just fit in with people's existing lifestyle. It's if you're telling people to just do something that's going to inconvenience them all the time, it just doesn't happen. So we sell earthing bed sheets, for example. Ever so simple. You literally get into bed and go to sleep, and you're earthed all night long. I've got a pillowcase here I could hold up. So this is made of a similar fabric. I don't know if you can see the sort of spreadsheet-like pattern on the fabric, and that's so the base fabric is organic cotton, and then the grid is silver thread, which is woven throughout the fabric, and that silver is highly conductive, and when you lie on it, ideally with some bare skin contact, but it will work through thin fabric as well to an extent, and that gets you grounded. I mean, there are other products that we sell for sleeping, but that's the one that we most often recommend. That's the one we have on every bed in our house. I think. I mean, our son.
That's the bed sheet, right? And then the pillow, and then there's the things to stand up. Because I spend 8-9 hours a day at a desk at a computer. So this one. My actual experience was my bed sheet started using that. It felt good, and then in the day I could feel this kind of static building up. In fact, I used to like touch my car and I'd get a zap, because I'm very, I don't know, hot-blooded, energetic. I don't know what I am, but you can feel it in the calves of your legs. That's what I found interesting. I'd be sat at the desk and I could feel the fact that there was a build-up of energy in me. So having this thing to stand on is just. It's cheap. It's easy. It just plugs in. I don't have to think about it. So that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
Does the mat contain silver as well? How does that work?
Yes. So the mats are a slightly different technology. I'll hold one up here. This is one of the smallest mats that we do, which is designed to be a mouse mat essentially, and they are carbon based. So they have a layer of conductive carbon over the surface. And the mouse mat, works perfectly well as a normal mouse mat. But in addition, when your hand is naturally resting on it, as it would be when you're using a mouse, you're connected to the earth. We do larger size ones, which are big enough for a computer keyboard and a mouse to go across. They're also ideal for putting under your feet, under the desk. We sell conductive socks as well. So if it's a little bit chilly under your desk, you can keep your feet warm and still have an excellent connection through to your mat. We even do much larger mats as well. We do yoga mats for sort of you can do your usual kind of daily exercise regime or whatever on a grounded mat. So it's
It's interesting that you mentioned camping as well, because my earliest memory of camping was under a big old canvas thing, lying directly on the floor with blankets. But now when people go camping, they've got these blow-up mattresses and loads of things between them and the earth. So they're not getting the benefits of being grounded, even though they're more comfortable.
Sure, and obviously, even the base of the tents nowadays are all plastic. So I mean, we get quite a lot of customers who want to take their earthing sheets or pillowcases, or I mean, we do also a thing called a recovery bag, which is a little bit like a cotton sleeping bag we've made of earthing fabric. And we've got quite a few customers who like to take them camping, and so they just take a grounding rod with them and just plug themselves into the earth, wherever they are. But keeping the benefits of their comfy mattresses.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And the other thing I thought was interesting is that I bought a big pot of washing powder liquid that was specific for the products, because obviously with the silver in, and they're going to be quite delicate, aren't they? You wouldn't want to wash them with normal stuff. Is that the reason for that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the silver will oxidize, and there are certain things in modern detergents, but often they're called sort of oxygen-based whitening agents. But essentially, what they are is a bleach, and they're a very aggressive oxidizing agent, and you will ruin the sheet quite easily washing it with these things. So we started off just trying to tell people really clearly how to wash their sheets and giving some recommendations, and eventually we just found that it wasn't quite enough. So we now actually send a sample for free of this washing detergent with our sheets, so that people can immediately have something that's correct to wash them with, and we sell it. And it's actually from a lovely little small UK company called Green Sense. It's all organic ingredients, and they've got it's a full family business with a great kind of ethos behind it. So we're very happy to support and promote that detergent for use with our sheets.
I love it. I think that the future is like businesses with conscience and actually do. I mean, you must love your work now compared to what it was you did before, because you're saving lives with your work. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it fits in. I mean, I think we tried, my wife and I, in all aspects of our life, really to disconnect from all that we kind of see that is wrong with the world, and just try and create the change that we want to see, really.
Be the change. You are being the change. So are there any product developments? So one thing I did want to ask you is that people don't want to give up their trainers, right? But you can. Do you sell the things that ground you that you can attach to shoes to ground you?
Yeah, we have a couple of products which can do this. One of them, I think I have one here actually. So this is a self-adhesive strap, which this part here goes under the sole of the shoe, and it goes up the side, and this part goes inside the shoe. And this is again using carbon, and it's a particularly sort of tough composite material that's been developed to withstand the rigors of being underneath the shoe. And then that can then be either used for bare feet or with our conductive socks, and you are grounded everywhere you walk. If you're walking outside, even concrete actually is relatively conductive if it's got a little bit of damp in it. So most outdoor surfaces, the exception being tarmac. If you're walking on tarmac pavements or roads, they unfortunately aren't grounding. But most concrete paving slabs, certainly if you're walking in the park or on the beach, anywhere like that, then the ground is conductive, so yeah, that's a great way to stay grounded as well. It's not always practical to go bare feet in a sort of park in the city or whatever. We do a heel strap as well. I haven't got one here, but it's a similar type of thing, using a piece of carbon impregnated material that fits under the heel of the shoe. That one can be sort of detached and reattached to different shoes, as opposed to this one here, which is self-adhesive and basically permanently fixes to your shoe. So there's a couple of options there. We are looking into actually grounding shoes, so shoes made with materials that are fully conductive. Yeah, it's a tricky area as a sort of small, relatively small business. It's hard to invest in a whole footwear range that will be kind of fashionably appropriate for everybody. There's such a diversity of taste.
It is difficult. And I lived in Morocco for 4 years, and I bought a pair of grounding running shoes, which were basically just like a bottom piece with like a thong. They were like a thong sandal, but it was tight. And they didn't look great, but they did the job. And they had like a copper thing connecting, I think it was copper, connecting to the ground at the front. And I wore those for a whole year. But I did think, I was, I'm an entrepreneur. I was thinking, how do we get grounding in shoes? Because the big problem, like you said, is that there's like a billion choices of shoes, and nobody ever thinks about. It's the only real solution is that thing that you've got, I suppose, because it's hard to. It'd only be hardcore people like me who didn't care what the shoe looked like. It's more about the benefits than the look.
Yeah, it's something we constantly have in mind because the technology's there. I mean, there are carbon based composite sole materials that are conductive. There are you can put copper kind of contacts through the sole. So the technology is there. But yeah, it's something that maybe we'll move into one day. But I think it's something that it's tricky to make a product that really has mass appeal. Yeah.
Oh no, I've just bought pairs of trainers for my daughters, and that's tough. Because it's all about the bloody brand. And I'm like, I'm saying, look, girls, Nike is not a good company. They just brought out a Satan shoe last week. They're not good. And they're like, yeah, but everybody's cool. It's cool. I'm like, it's an uphill battle, is what I'm saying, especially when you've got teenagers. I get the impression, Seb, that you think deeply about the world, and I'm wondering whether you've thought about what, as a society, as we move forward. I believe that grounding is fundamental. Fundamental to buildings, fundamental to clothing, to our lifestyle. For our general health. And it says so much that you're not allowed to talk about the benefits of it. But what do you think we need to change in society from a grounding perspective? If you've got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's always very hard to say what needs to happen, you know, until it sort of becomes clearer. I think in general, my hope for the future really is in every individual kind of raising their consciousness and conscious awareness. You know, I think that's where the solutions will come from. You know, there's many clever, resourceful people in the world, and when they start opening their eyes a little bit and perhaps, you know, connecting into a slightly higher intelligence, shall we say, I think that's where the solutions will come. Interestingly, you know, I believe that's what grounding brings to people. You know, we've seen time and time again that when people start grounding, they change their sort of, you know, awareness. You know, they actually sort of change their behavior, and you know, yeah, I mean, it's very hard to put into words, and obviously no scientific way of measuring it, but you know, that perhaps that connection to the earth, you know, actually allows us to connect in, you know, a bit better with the deeper sort of wisdom of our planet. So, you know, I think it's a, you know, important component of what we need to do to kind of shift consciousness on this planet. Obviously, from a practical point of view, be great to see, you know, all modern buildings, you know, be put in with grounded floor coverings and things like that. I mean, that would be wonderful. But you know, my sort of deep belief really is that it's through the change in consciousness of everybody on the planet that you know, that is how the real change will need to be affected. I mean, I'm sure, you know, we've all experienced trying to change someone's minds just by telling them stuff. And, you know, if people aren't ready to hear stuff, it doesn't go in. But, you know, when people change from within, then suddenly, you know, their eyes are open, and you know, the kind of answers and the awareness, you know, is just enters them on its own.
I couldn't have put that better. I think that's the perfect place to end the show. I really want to thank you for coming on. You're doing amazing work, and thank you for, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you're doing God's work. You're out there bringing something really high quality to people that's really easy and accessible, and has a profound effect on people. So that's why I want to spread the word about it. So I thank you very much, Seb. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Mark. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you very much.
See you later. Take care, everybody.